Welcome to Texas Platinum, the last of the real water cooler talk shows here on YouTube. I'm Trevor, joined by both Matts, Matt Madrid, Matt Myers, and fall camp is upon us. As of the recording of this video, it starts tomorrow. We have long waited for this date, and it has finally arrived, and we are brimming with excitement. A lot of hype behind this team, a lot of high hopes, bold predictions, all that kind of stuff. But we're going to go over kind of our thoughts on fall camp, thoughts on what we're kind of expecting for the season. We're not going to go into records yet or predicting games. We'll get to that in a different video. But for now, really just kind of, commencing the 2023 season with this video. With the start of fall camp. So before we get into it though, please like, comment, subscribe, all the basic YouTube things that we ask for in every video. Do it anyway, even if you don't, just do it. It'll help us out. We greatly appreciate that. Let me hand it off to Madrid first. I feel like I always toss it to Myers. Talk about your thoughts on fall camp and the Longhorns season being right around the corner now.
Felt like this is the longest off season in recent memory. I don't know. I think as soon as the bowl game was over, it kind of immediately turned into the narrative. Like the third Sark year is the year, and it's lining up. It's lining up to be the year. I really hate being bullish on this team. I really do. It's like one of the least favorite things I like doing it because I feel like I did it in 2018, which looking back was kind of warranted. We made it to the Big 12 championship, so it's not like that was wrong, but it kind of fumbled our way into there or kind of stumbled our way into it. I remember there being ties and stuff, so it wasn't like us outright being like a Big 12 contender. Like you had to like finagle us into it. So I think in that respect, it's not the same. But confidence is at all-time high. Like I haven't seen players talk about a team like this in a long time. On top of that, what I think is also kind of interesting is right before fall camp, you had a lot of and this has been happening in spurts for a while now, but you saw players on social media or ex-players on social media talk about past coaching regimes and staff and just the teams in general, and it kind of just validates everything you knew about this team this past decade. Staff wasn't the right staff wasn't in place. We weren't running the right programs. We weren't paying attention to the right things. So it finally feels like we're not crazy and we do know what's going on. Like we're not dumb. And this is one of the first years it feels completely removed from that minus the success part, obviously. But yeah, it feels like the most refreshing offseason and the most anticipated fall camp because of that. You're hearing a lot of confidence from the players themselves too. I know AD Mitchell has been bragging to his close friends and family about this team. He's been a part of 2 championship teams already, so I hope he knows what he's talking about. But yeah, just off first impressions, I'm just excited to hear, man. I can't take summers, especially as hot as they are now, like without any type of enjoyment. But yeah, excited about this camp for sure. It's one of the most anticipated ones.
Myers, how about you?
I feel like we're a little biased, of course, but I feel like we're very reasonable with our expectations for Texas football. I think last year we all had us at like 8-4 or 7-5 or 9-3, somewhere there. We were being very realistic. And what's so encouraging about this year's team is Madrid brought it up before we met. He's like, look at this team's roster. It is just very loaded, just all over the board. Like third stringers are guys that we're excited about, and it's kind of incredible that Sark and the staff has kept all these talented dudes together. It speaks to the culture we have, and with the portal era, it's surprising to see these many good players all on one team, and it's by far the most complete loaded roster that I've seen since. I mean, I wasn't avidly following it like in '09, but I remember a lot of those stars we had. But this team is, I would say, at least roster wise, comparable to that, like with the talent in terms of talent, proven talent. Also, reasons for optimism is Steve Sarkisian himself. I mean, we're trying to lay off the Kool-Aid. You know, we're a jaded fan base, 13 years of underachieving. But Sarkisian, every time he talks to anybody with, you know, with the microphone, he's just talking about how this team's on a mission, how it looks like his team, the culture's right. Like he's not shy about how he feels about this team, and that's not who he is typically. Like the last 2 years following Sark, he never speaks about a team like this. He's usually pretty reserved. So the complete 180 from Sark is really exciting. And one thing he said at the Houston Texas X's event, whatever it's called, he was mentioning that we play at Houston this year for you know, when we play at U of H, and he said, wouldn't it be cool if we played in Houston again at the end of the year, which is like where the national championship is this year in NRG. So for Sark to say that, I mean, that's probably no big deal, but I mean, you would think that Sark likes this team a lot to be saying things like that to a bunch of alumni. So that's exciting, man. And there's just a lot of excitement also because of the final year of the Big 12, one last ride. So, man, it's gonna be an incredible year, I'm hoping. So very excited about this team.
Yeah. My thoughts on spring camp and the season opening and everything is there just seems to be a lot of hype behind this team. And I know people always say like, oh, that's every year for Texas. Not really. I mean, past few years, I don't even think Texas has entered into a season ranked. And even kind of, you know, in the Tom Herman eras, like after the Sugar Bowl and everything like that, there was a fair amount of hype behind the team, but at the same time, people were still very much kind of like, oh, I don't know, you know, like there was a lot of doubt behind that hype and going into the 2019 season, even though, you know, it was warranted and people were excited about Sam Ehlinger. The team as a whole, I feel like people still had a lot of questions on. I'm not getting that much from other fan bases, from other media outlets, national media outlets, you know, which, you know, you don't need to pay too much attention to the national media outlets because the local ones are so much better. But I regress. It's still impressive to see that so many people are really kind of high on Texas, and not even just high on them, but almost like an angry high. Like people are like, they just need to win it, damn it. Like, why have they not won? Like, this is the year. Like almost like people are like pissed off that it's taken Texas so long and they're putting it all chips in on this season. And it's interesting because again, like past few seasons, you know, we just haven't been close to that, you know. Talent wise, I guess we've grown, and you know, with people like you know, Bijan and Roshan and other notable transfers we've had as well. You know, there's been hype around the team, but it just feels different going into this season from a talking point standpoint. But and then as well as like what you guys said, from a player standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, Sark is really confident, like you said, Myers, and like he's not holding back on anything. Like it's one thing to like say in like a press conference, like one that was today, or you know, even the Big 12 media days, to have confidence there. But I mean, he's going on like national TV shows or even like local shows and saying the same thing about like, we have a good football team. Like, and you know, that's Like I don't know many coaches unless you really actually have a good football team that go on national shows and say, "Hey, we got a good football team." It's one thing, to say that. It's another to say like, "Oh, I'm feeling pretty good." People are putting in the work. Like he's not fluffing stuff up. He's cut to the chase that he really believes that we got some good. And let's transition that then to the other big talking point about the football team, and ultimately what a lot of this comes back to, quarterback play. Quinn Ewers going into probably the biggest year of his life up to this point. Kind of a prove it year for him, leading the offense. We've heard so many good things throughout the offseason of him losing weight and studying the playbook and getting on, more of a better page with all the other receivers and being more of a vocal leader in the locker room and changing his mental health mindset. Like everything, that's been going on about Quinn Ewers has been overwhelmingly positive. And you would think that coupled with his talent plus the progression of, being in another year of the Sarkisian offense, like that's going to lead into something big. But I don't know yet. We'll have to see. But let's talk about Quinn. Mars, let me go back to you then, since we started with Madrid. What are your thoughts on Quinn?
Yeah, the ceiling of this team is unlimited, mainly because we don't know how good Quinn Ewers is going to be. If Quinn Ewers has an excellent year, the hype for number one prospect of all time. So like, it's valid to believe that he could be like generational at some point here at Texas. So let's say he takes a big step. This team can go as far as he wants to take it. So it's really encouraging to see that he's like a whole different person than he did this time last year. And definitely more serious, more focused, and a lot more healthy. Looks a lot better. Looks a lot more lean. And apparently he's only had one bad practice. Not bad. One not great practice is, I think, how it was described in spring. He's had a great summer, Sark said, and he's clearly Sark's very excited about Quinn. And it's nice to have a starting quarterback, because we haven't had that going into fall camp in quite a while. So since Sam, but yeah, I mean Quinn, I'm excited to see what he can do. But what I also want to see, I expect him to do well, have great reports out of fall camp. I feel like that's going to be a given. But what I want to see is I want the reports to also indicate that Malik Murphy looks really good too. Like Malik Murphy is not making it easy on Quinn. That's what we want, because Quinn Ewers, as great as he can be, as good as he is at times, he has had the injury bug in the past, and let's say in Tuscaloosa he gets hurt again. Like I feel like Malik Murphy could go in and win us that game and probably hold on to the job. Like that's what we're hearing about Malik and just the type of player he is himself. So it's good to have that depth behind Quinn. But yeah, Quinn leading this team, he'll take it as far as he wants to take it. So very excited about that. And the RB room, the running back room, that's also one thing I'm really curious about this camp is who's going to be the guy. I think it's going to be Jonathan Brooks. I mean, whenever Jonathan Brooks gets the ball, he just does good things. He goes and scores touchdowns. He makes it look so easy. And I don't know if it's because he's playing in garbage time. At least he has been recently whenever he's been in. But whenever he gets the ball, it's just like, okay, give this guy the ball more, because he just makes it look so easy. And it's funny because he played this little high school in Hallettsville, Texas. But, man, that guy looks like a pro. He reminds me of, like, I don't even know, like Jahmyr Gibbs, but he's not Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know. He's got a really fun style about the way he carries the ball. So I hope that we get good reports out of Jonathan Brooks. But yeah, I mean, Cedric Baxter's there. Jaden Blue looked great in spring. So I just want to hear good things about the running backs, and of course the O-line returns everybody. So the whole offense, I think, will be really good this year. But yeah, Quinn, it's time. It's time, baby. We got to go get this Big 12 championship.
I like what you said about Jonathan Brooks. I mean, it may be garbage time, but he did a lot in that garbage time. Like he put up respectable stats if it's all just garbage time. So I have all the faith in the cream rising to the top in that running back room. I don't think it's a matter if someone arises, it's when someone arises. I think I mean no one's gonna be Bijan, right? But like I don't think with everything else upgrading next year, like the O line and Quinn and the receivers, I don't think you necessarily need someone as good as Bijan. You can have someone a quarter as good, half as good, and that's all you need. As long as the play on the line and the rest of the offense works well. Um, Talking about Quinn, um, we all know his gifts. We all know what we're looking for. But to circle back about the hype about not even last year, about past years, I think it's because we had a growing quarterback. Like it would be like Sam, like oh, Sam year 2, Sam year 3, Sam year 4, and usually for most programs, you kind of ebb and flow with that type of uh, with that type of development. You have a QB that comes in early, you're gonna suck for a little bit, and you get good. It seems simple, but it's how that continuity and that maturity works wonders in a QB room. But the rest of the team was never really like up to par in that regard. Um, and on top of that, you had Sam, being our university's biggest cheerleader, but I'm not sure that was shared throughout uh, throughout the locker room at that time. What's different now, what I think is different from the hype for Quinn is during Big 12 media day, he was talking about how he was saying all the right things. The one thing that I always like hearing from, especially if you play for a university like Texas, is you got to have some love for this university. You got to care. Like you got to care a little bit. And I think seeing him be quote unquote humbled this past season really rocked him a little bit. He talked about how he never really lost like that before. He never faced that type of adversity before. I'm sure a lot of these guys haven't. But it's good to see that maturity out of him, and he knows what's expected of him. So we know that first snap he's dialed in, and on top of that, I think that's kind of permeated throughout the rest of the roster. Finally, it's not just Jay Witt and Quinn saying like we got to do this for the fans, we got to do this for the people in our university. It's all these players that taking pride in what they do, and I think a lot of the times that hype from the past years was just like a blanket to throw over like the rest of the problems that were on the roster and the attitude problems that we had too. So it'd be like Sam's like we're coming this year or whatever. Insert inspirational QB quote here, and it would just kind of, at least for us, fall pretty flat. So I think with Quinn, Quinn has the talent. Like that's not a question. Like he's gonna get, even if he has the worst year, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But even he has the worst year, that man's gonna find himself eventually on an NFL roster. Like it's without a doubt. But I think this year in particular, with the growth in his mindset and his maturity, and hopefully his skills, because there is a level he could still go up. I think those things, the extra things, are the things that are gonna really take him up a notch. And I mean, all signs point to that happening. The receivers are good. It's always good to hear receivers talk well about a QB. They'll never talk bad, right? But they'll be more reserved if things aren't going right. But a lot of the receivers are talking very well about Quinn, and I think that's a big deal. And especially if a guy like AD Mitchell comes in here and starts saying stuff like that, who's seen it all, I think that's a really big deal. So yeah, it's I won't say it all hinges on Quinn, but he's the X factor for this year for sure. But I think he's going to get there because of those extra things.
Well said. Let's transition into skill players, kind of lump them together, even though they're kind of different. Running backs, I know that both of y'all already touched on them, but I do want to mention that there hasn't been a clear starter identified yet. And is that something to be concerned of? Because I know I'm with you guys, as well as probably most of, if not the entire fan base. We saw Jonathan Brooks and really liked what he was putting together. Granted, like you said, it was garbage time per se, but from what I saw, I was very impressed. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see him in the spring game. He was hurt. He's been, I guess kind of dealing with injury, but it sounds like he's back up to full health. Cedric Baxter obviously has come in as a very high rated recruit. And a lot of people think that he's going to ultimately kind of be our guy, much like Bijan eventually became our guy. But at the same time, I'm still not too sold on him. I thought he looked a little underwhelming in the spring game. Doesn't mean he's going to improve, because I'm sure he will. Not saying that now, but again, from what I saw, I wasn't blown away. We have a deep running back room, and I think we'll be fine. Just like both of y'all said, we have a well-rounded enough team to where we don't necessarily need a bell cow back. But you always got to remember that Sark has his guy whenever it comes to the running back room. There's always a 1,000-yard rusher. He loves to say that. He hasn't been saying it this offseason, which is funny because he always says it, every other offseason. So I don't know. Are you guys worried at all about our running back room? Is it weird that Jonathan Brooks hasn't separated yet? Maybe that'll happen in fall camp. And maybe it's just in a couple days, this whole thought is going to be old. I don't know, but quick thoughts on that before we go to receiver, because I think it's very important to the offense.
I don't think it's that concerning. I mean, you'd like to have a Bijan, just like your ace running back, your bell cow to hand the ball to. But I think we'll definitely get some separation. I expect Jonathan Brooks to be the guy. I think, like you said, I think we'll hear positive things from him, and then he'll be the starter, and he'll become that guy for us this year. But no, I think it speaks to the depth we have there. We have 4 really good running backs, plus Savion Red, if you want to throw in a 5th one, because Savion has had great reports, and apparently he has that Roshan gene in him where he's just insane worker, hard worker at practice, good culture guy. So that's 5 good running backs when you throw in Keelan Robinson too, who gives you that burst, that lightning in the room, and then Jaden Blue, Cedric Baxter, Jonathan Brooks. So I don't think it's very concerning yet. I mean, it'd be nice, I guess, to have that returning Letterman starter, but I think it'll be Jonathan Brooks, and I don't think it'll take long for that to be known. I think he'll introduce himself to the country pretty quickly after the first couple games.
You have any thoughts, Madrid? Or
Yeah, just real quick. Basically, when I first started thinking about the season, the running back position was actually like a pretty big worry for me, because if that position goes wrong, I don't say wrong, but not what we want it to be, then that changes a lot of the offense. A lot of things Sarkis predicates his offense on. So it was really concerning to me, but I just don't like. I just to reiterate what I just don't see us needing that superstar. Because I just don't think there will be as many holes to mask in like the O-line and the QB play. As long as everything elevates, we should be okay in that regard. And I also think we, like, even if we only had 2 running backs, we were like, oh, these are the only guys we trust, I think we'd be all right. But the fact that we got 3 to 4, one of those is going to pan out.
all right. Receivers and tight ends. I mean, tight ends is Jatavian Sanders. We can end it at that.
And Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm.
Gunnar Helm's not bad. Yeah. But receivers, we have just all the riches on this team in terms of our receiver core. It's this is probably too high of praise, but it makes you wonder if this is like, the beginnings of the Bama years where they just had those stacked rooms. And if Sark is kind of recreating that with this particular receiver room. Give me your thoughts on this room, highlighted by Xavier Worthy, obviously. I think this is a year that he has to rebound after a year last season that was just not living up to the standard that he set his freshman year. Of course, dealing with injury, but still, it makes me wonder if this may be a Biletnikoff kind of year for him, but at the same time, our room is so deep. I'm curious if there's going to actually be a guy that separates versus just Quinn distributing the ball to all these people that just are stunningly good. Plus the return of Nair off of injuries. So let me hear your thoughts, Myers.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting to see that Xavier Worthy was sent to media days, that they don't send like non-alphas, not non-leaders to that. So, and Xavier Worthy, like as talented as he never struck me, at least when he was a freshman, as like a leader or I would say, I don't know. He just didn't give me that alpha. I don't know. I could be off base with that, but it's good to see that he's being very vocal and serious about this team now. And the things he said at Big 12 Media Days were very encouraging. But also the way Sarkisian is talked about, I think he said like something along the lines of he's had the best possible offseason. Really glowing things to say about Xavier Worthy. And he looks like he's put on some weight. He got a nice haircut like Quinn. He looks like a NFL player now. And hopefully he did have a broken hand last year. Hopefully those reports were true. I don't know if I'm saying hopefully, but let's say he didn't. Let's say he then he needs to get rid of those drops, because those drops were inexcusable. If he and he will, he'll clean them up. He looked great in the spring game, and I'm very excited to see what he can do. It's crazy. I mean, Biletnikoff, you said, Trevor, and I think that's very fair to say. I mean, just think about it. Sark is not shy to spam his best receivers. I mean, he tried it last year with Xavier, but it was either Xavier was off or Quinn was off. They couldn't get on that same page, and now hopefully they have that chemistry, and hopefully Xavier's healthy, and we can just rack up a bunch of yards and just chunk plays through the air. But yeah, aside from Xavier, I mean, you throw in A.D. Mitchell, who that guy is nails. Like if game on the line, you got to fade in the end zone. I mean, I don't think of any receiver in the country besides Marvin Harrison Jr. that I'd want to throw it to, aside from A.D. Mitchell. Just the clutch catches he's made, especially when he's like, if he just stays healthy, he's elite. So throwing him in the mix should help the Xavier Worthy and Quinn Ewers. I mean, just to balance out the offense, because we're not going to have to spam one guy. Jordan Whittington lost 20 pounds, looks really lean, which is good. I mean, that guy's huge. So hopefully be able to be more fluid out there. But him in the slot, he'll get you those tough yards. So those are our top three receivers, right? Like, no question about it. Those are our three. But then Nayor apparently is very healthy now, from what Sark said today at his press conference, and he got the knee brace off. And then also excited to see what Jonte Cook and DeAndre Moore can do for us whenever they get time. And Casey Kane, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he looked good against Washington. I don't want to write him off. He showed flashes. He also showed really bad moments, against Iowa State. But I mean, he's hanging in the pocket. He's staying around, staying in the receiver room. So you never know. I wouldn't be shocked if he had a good year this year too. So it's just a great receiver room, and I think Quinn Ewers will be very excited to throw them the ball.
I think one thing we got to remember last year too, as much as we didn't like the overall or not even overall, but just eye test wise, when it came to Xavier Worthy, before we even knew of the injury, is the guy led the Big 12 in touchdowns, with a broken hand. So right. I hope on a broken hand and being and being truly the only outside threat, which is probably not even his game as much as we want it to be, like an outside go route type of guy. Like I don't see him as like only that type of player. So while having all those odds against him, he still did something pretty spectacular. So I'm excited to see what he's gonna do. I'm glad you brought up Nayor. Um, all reports from that guy in the camp is that he looks like like a finished product. And I mean, he should. He's that old, but uh, just I think him. We talk about X factors on the offense. I think he's one of the bigger ones in itself. I'm curious to see how they're gonna rotate some of these guys because I mean, you're gonna have your big three, but you're gonna have some budding stars behind them that are gonna be uh, worthy of some playing time, like Jonte Cook and Kane and maybe more if we're lucky. But I doubt it goes that far. But Nair in himself too, so that'll be really interesting. You talk about Blitnikov, and I'm of the idea that it is just too stacked to to have a Blitnikov winner in here. But maybe I'm wrong with that, and I'm more than happy to be wrong.
I
But
think
it's
you're
just
wrong.
there's just a lot of mouths in here to feed. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll be pleasantly surprised. But yeah, I think this is the one position group that's just night and day from last year, and it's just shocking the amount of riches that are in there. I mean, I could just think we're begging Xavier Worthy with a broken hand to catch everything coming his way. So yeah.
Yeah. I it's kind of bold, but I do really think that this is going to be a Blitnikoff year for Worthy. I do. I as long as those drops get fixed, I think that Quinn's getting better, more accurate. I think that Worthy's confidence and maturity has gone up a lot too. And that's not even so much from reading reports, it's just my eyeballs from what I've seen, on social and other stuff. The fact that he's like Myers said, I don't know if he's officially a captain, but the fact that he went to media days, I think, was huge. And I don't know. You can tell that he's feeling himself on social, and not in like a showy way, but like in a confident way. And again, probably reading into it too much, but like this guy, I've never seen a receiver get so much separation on every snap basis. Like if he just can catch the ball and Quinn can connect, like seriously, every snap he gets unbelievable separation, and he's so well rounded. I think that this could be a Devonta Smith type year for Worthy if Sark crafts it in that way, which I think he will, being that we don't have that bell cow back like a Bijan or a Roshan, or anything like that. So I'm expecting, I'm kind of expecting it, but like you said, we have such a deep room. It'll depend on Sark's play calling as well as Quinn deciding whether or not he wants to go to Worthy on a consistent basis, because he's got JG Sanders and he's got AD Mitchell and he's got Whittington to bail him out when he needs, and he's got others. I don't know who all I said, but I don't know. Very interesting, very intriguing thoughts.
One thing real quick. When Devontae Smith won the Heisman, the Blitnikoff, and all that, had this amazing season. Am I wrong in thinking that like
Najee Harris had a big year?
Yeah, who? It was Najee, right? Was it Najee?
Yeah, Harris.
Okay.
Running back, so they split it. Okay. But
and Jalen Waddle.
And Waddle.
Yeah. And Waddle was there too. Interesting. Yeah, I just remember one of those years with Bama where they kind of, I want to say used a committee, but they used a lot of backs. And I think it was that year because I think Brian Robinson was on that team too. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to see if there's a pattern of like, you got a litany of good backs. Why not just spam the best receiver you have type vibe?
I think that Sark is kind of has the reputation. I think he's earned it. I think it's continue to be a trend of having just one guy with like insane stats every year. Like whether it's Bijan last year or Devontae Smith, I feel like this year the candidate for that is going to be Xavier Worthy and Quinn Ewers, of course. But I feel like he's been open to saying like his offense changes. Like if he's got a great running back, he'll pound the rock a lot. But if he's got a great receiver, he'll spam the receiver like we've seen. So I think you're right, Trevor. I think Worthy's definitely the biggest candidate to be that guy this year.
One more point. Comparing our team to 2019 LSU, that offense that was just loaded at receiver. Jamar Chase won the Blitnikoff that year. Jerry Jeudy won it the year before at Alabama. So, I mean, and these are deep. All those teams are very deep at wide receivers. So I don't think, the more I think about it, the more confident I get that we should not let depth be like, I don't know if he's going to get that many touches. I disagree.
Yeah, it'll just open it up for him, possibly. I mean, arguably. So
yeah, exactly. So all right, let's transition now over to the offensive line. Myers, how about you take it?
yeah, one of the most exciting things also about this team, I mean, everybody's back, it seems like, on offense, but all 5 O linemen return, including freshman phenom Kelvin Banks, future first round pick Kelvin Banks.
First overall.
Yeah, first overall pick,
Yeah.
Heisman winner Kelvin Banks. But no, it's exciting. Another year of growth. I will say, if you go back and watch some of the games last year and look at some of the advanced metrics, our run block was not great last year. It was average at best.
No.
Masked by insane talent at running back, which we won't necessarily have this year. So I want to see some improvement out of the run block. And I want to hear that throughout fall camp that they're run blocking well. But also, I'm curious to see how this, like the interior of the line's going to shake out, because Jake Majors, I think he's the starting center. He just got a Lambo deal. I feel like they don't give Lambo deals to backup centers very often. But you got like an influx of talent there with on the interior with Devon Campbell, Cole Hudson, who can play center, Hayden Connor, who's played center before, I believe. So, and then you also got Cam Williams and Nito Yumio Zulu, who have looked good through their development over the last couple of years, all in the interior, vying for two to three spots. So you would think that Hudson has a spot for sure. And I want to say that's the only one for sure. I mean, Majors might as well, but it'll be fun to watch, see how that shakes out. But it's a good problem to have. You have a lot of good players in that room, and that's a credit to Sark and Flood for developing and recruiting well. So, yeah, I just want to see some better run blocking out of the O-line going throughout fall camp and early in the year.
Yeah, it's got to happen. And Majors is very much an improvement year, I feel like. He's been the starter for a while, but we're getting to a point where we haven't seen dramatic improvement, from him. He's been kind of a consistent, not there hasn't really been that big aha moment. Not sure if that'll come. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But nonetheless, it's someone to keep your eye out on, and curious what'll happen with that interior, like you said, because outside I feel like is pretty much locked down, but inside we have the depth to if someone's not performing and isn't living up to that standard, they may lose their job. Especially a guy like Majors, who we don't want to just clown on Majors the whole time. That's not what we're doing here, but why the heck am I blanking on his name? Kyle Flood likes his boys big. So and Majors is kind of, the prototypical Texas O lineman from the past few coaching regimes, and not really this one. Much more smaller, noble, not noble, mobile. Oh my Lord.
He seems pretty noble to me.
Yeah, I mean, he seems noble too. But yeah. So let's drop the offensive lineman. Defense. Madrid, how about you start us off with the defensive side of the ball? very intriguing going into
Yes.
this
Uh,
season.
I mean, we talk about a lot about if if Quinn is gonna make a lot on the offensive side of the ball, rightfully so, because that's the most more fun and entertaining side. About like if they take the leap, if they take the leap. I'm talking about the defense now. That is a revamped unit in the sense there's a lot of guys coming up that are uh, you hear that are making strides. You hear about Terrence Brooks. You hear about Gavin Holmes. You don't know how exactly it's going to shape out. But I think the most important part of this defense is that linebacker position next to Jalen Ford. We know what Jalen Ford's going to be. I think he was pretty funny at that Houston alumni event. Sark's like, yeah, one of the big questions or what we're going to see in the competition in the fall is who's going to line up next to Jalen Ford. And I just think it's really cool seeing that much confidence in a linebacker or like in any player, but just knowing that everyone knows that guy has it. And we had it with Overshown last year, and I think that was pretty cool. Especially on defense, it's always nice to have a guy like that. Those guys are X factors, right? But in reality, who is going to be that linebacker next to it? And if you look at the depth chart, you see a lot of faces you've seen before. Um, we're always hoping Benda turns into that solid contributor, and he can, and he has. But you got Jeb Bush lingering. You don't know if it's Morris Blackwell. And then you got that true X factor and Anthony Hill, who I think we're all pretty high on and know that guy's only going to get better with age. But we need that extra contributor behind the line of scrimmage. Um, a lot of what we're hearing from Anthony Hill at practices and what they've been evaluating him is he does seem like he's a freshman. He seems a little lost, a little doesn't know where he doesn't know where he needs to go sometimes. But they added a caveat to that, which was every time he makes a mistake, though, every time he doesn't know where he's going a million miles an hour. So I think what's going to end up happening in that situation is I think and I think it was last year too like this, but even more so, we're going to have a rotating door right there at that position, and it'll eventually be filled by Anthony Hill, but Jalen Ford will be long gone by the time that he becomes the consistent contributor that we know Hill will be. But I think Anthony Hill will be involved a lot with using that aggression just as a pure disruptor. We saw a lot of linebacker blitzes last year when we could with Jalen Ford. I think a lot of those this year are going to go to Anthony Hill, and they might be a little situational with him just because his pure athleticism is off the charts. So I think that's what we mainly need to be looking at for defensive wise. I think D line itself will have the same kind of cast of characters last year, with hopes of Vernon and Alfred and Finkley maybe taking a step. But and on top of that, who's on the opposite side? Watts. But all those two positions have guys that we know will contribute, or not necessarily, or will be contribute at the level they were at last year. But I think that second linebacker spot is something that is the biggest kind of unknown, just because we don't know who's going to pop from there and if they're going to pop, and why I think it's probably going to be more of a revolving door at that position with flashes of Anthony Hill here and there.
And those flashes are going to be very, very nice and sexy. I mean, that guy, whenever he rushes the passer, bro, like we talked about this, it looks different. It's like this dude's like that Georgia LSU, 5-star pass rusher that we haven't had in years. So it's
Because
exciting
at the
to have
very
him.
least, I don't mean to cut you off real quick, but at the very least, with someone with that much athleticism, and especially at this level, at the college level, you can disrupt a lot of things without actually knowing what the hell is going on and what your assignment is going to be Oh, my dog joined me. What the hell is going on? So, I think that's the most important part or aspect to take away with Anthony Hill.
Yeah, no, and I think if we just go down the line, like you mentioned, like who's going to start across Watts, the D line needs to have a couple guys step up. But if you go down the line, let's count them up. You got Byron Murphy, dog. Baron Sorrell, dog. Devondre Sweat, dog. That's 3 in the D line starting. Jalen Hill, super dog. That's 4. Jalen Ford, I'm sorry. Ryan Watts, dog. That's 5. Jaron Thompson, people hate on. I love Jaron Thompson. That's 6 dogs, proven dogs. So 6 of the 11 are proven.
Today, Baron.
I forgot today, Baron. 7 are probably
Jalen Catalon.
Then you throw in Jalen Catalon. See what I'm getting at? Like this
Yeah.
team. And then you have just like people in the cooker, like Jere Bledsoe, Jamon Tapp. I mean, you want to throw Alfred Collins in there too, maybe, because he needs to step forward. Derek Williams, people are saying, is insane in summer workouts, 5-star from Louisiana. Malik Muhammad, Inside Texas, is always hyping him up on practice reports. True freshman, nearly a 5-star out of South Oak Cliff. There's just a lot of good players all over the place. I do want to know how those safeties are going to line up. Is it going to be Jaron and Jalen together, Catalon and Jaron Thompson? I want to see how that unfolds because we got other people back there too that are talented. But yeah, I mean, also across from Ryan Watts, you have Xavier Bryce, who's really impressed recently, according to reports, and you got Austin Jordan still. You got a lot of just good. I mean, Terrence Brooks looked really good at the end of last year, and he was supposed to be the guy. Then we went and got Gavin Holmes, so now it's kind of in flux. So a lot of great players, not great players, a lot of just good pieces on that defense, and I think we have enough for it to be a really good unit. And getting Gary Patterson back, hopefully, would be just the cherry on top.
Let's talk about that. Gary, there are rumors and reports that he may rejoin this team in some capacity. That was actually addressed in the press conference today, again, as of the recording of this video, by Sark. And he did not deny that Gary Patterson would be rejoining the team. So it almost sounds like it's probably going to happen. And I want to get your thoughts on this too, but in my opinion, well, also based on reports, it sounds like he'd be filling a bit of a different role, something a lot more minor, with a lot less hours and more flexibility and everything like that. But also when you think about Gary Patterson, when he joined the staff last season, I feel like off season was his time to shine. You know, he was doing all these analytics and game prep and stuff that took place before fall and the season really started. I'm not saying that he didn't do anything once the season started or once fall camp started, but I feel like the big heavy lifting that Gary brought to this staff happened before now this season. So if he does rejoin, not only is he going to be, you know, in a different role, that's just facts, but he's not going to be doing what he was, at least to the level that he was doing it. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You know, it doesn't hurt to have a Hall of Fame coach, on your staff to help you out, especially after last season where he did so much for us. But I don't know if it's going to significantly change things. Again, won't hurt things, but I still think this is very much Kwiatkowski's defense, his team, his big year to really prove it for himself. But what do you guys think about the Patterson rumors?
I think you're very much underestimating how much of a maniac Gary Patterson is and how much of a football mad scientist he is. And yeah, I'm sure his job title or in like hours or whatever you want to call them will be less, or I'm sure he'll get paid less, have more freedom. But I think that he'll contribute the same amount as he typically does, and that'll be like 100%, at least during the season.
Yeah,
because he loves, like, his favorite thing is just getting him the getting in the lab, watching film, and just chopping up, creating game plans and stuff like that. So if you get him in any capacity, I feel like it's a very valuable add to the staff. I mean, I would say that our defense was really good last year, really improved last year, and I think you have to, like, I know you want to credit PK, and PK's he's the DC, it's his defense, but a lot of those guys develop, like those TCU players would develop over the years, like randomly, like Jahdae Barron, Jalen Ford. These were just like random dudes, like seriously. And then Gary Patterson shows up, and it's not only Gary Patterson, but it just kind of reminded me of how TCU would have these random 2 stars, 3 stars just turn into NFL first rounders, and I think Gary Patterson can help with that. I don't think he's the end all be all, of course, but I think it'd be a great value add, and it's just someone you want in the room because whenever he speaks, like, people will listen, and he knows what he's talking about, at least when it comes to the defense. So I would love to have Coach Gary Patterson back, and I hope he unblocks me on Twitter at some point.
It's because you posted a picture of him on the bus, right?
Yeah, he was asleep on the bus on the way to
Saw
Austin.
that? He was like, "This guy's gone."
Yeah.
Classic, dude. um,
That's how you know you made it. Whenever
Yeah, no, for
Gary
real.
Patterson blocks you on Twitter, like, I feel like that's a rite of passage.
Brandon
Right.
Harris has also blocked me too. I don't even know why I'm blocked from Brandon Harris, but that's all right.
That's so weird. I think obviously he's not gonna be head coaching anywhere, and obviously I think anywhere would be too late, but it's not too late for us for him to come back because he would just be picking up where he left off. It really, and I think last year I don't even think he was game planning game to game. I think he just picked the games where he was like, "Hey, I'll help you prepare for this game," i.e., Bama and a few other, maybe even the TCU game. But yeah, I think he was already more on like the level of like, I'll just come in and do what I can here and there. So whatever capacity he's in, like, I'll take him in a heartbeat. And it's so right about those TCU DBUs, excuse me. Those TCU DBs, they would just spawn out of nowhere. And I think the instant we have some DBs now that were not I don't say relevant, but not this relevant. I'll be honest with you, I hardly knew Jahdae Barron was on this roster before that. You just didn't hear about this guy. I feel like a lot of the DBs in our past were just guys based off of recruiting name value, and that's it.
Caden
Not trying
Stearns,
to yeah, exactly. They came into what they were already. So having him back is going to be a godsend if just for merely like development purpose. I do think PK should get a lot of credit because his scheme does work. It just took a while for it to mesh last year. I think he was pretty stubborn with it, but like worked out as the team grew into it. As the season went on. Early on, it was a little rough, and I was like, maybe you need to change something. But props to him for sticking with his guns, and then Gary Patterson slapped on top of that. That's a nice recipe right there for the defense. I would love to have him back. Also, the guy just looks so happy just to be out there. He's just so happy to be out there. He loves ball. I can appreciate that about a coach like that, or just anyone that likes the game. Like, I really have a hard time thinking Gary Patterson, if he has the option to be out there and be doing something involved with football, he's just going to be like, nah, I'll take the year off and wait for a job somewhere else. I just have a hard time believing he'll do that. He's probably just taking his time. He's not important for the off season per se. He's more of a game planning type of guy that we have here. So I don't mind him kind of drawing this out and doing what he kind of needs to do.
Yeah, and it's known that he only wants to be at a place at this point in his career that can win a national championship. And I feel like if he wants to get a natty, I mean, being a part of this 2023 team, it's one of the better shots he'll have the rest of his career, probably. So hopefully he sees that. I'm sure he does.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to find the statistics for our defense last year. And I'm struggling to find it. But
Like rankings and stuff.
yeah, like rankings, but I have a
We were
general
like
idea of
top
things.
25, right?
We had, yes, overall a pretty decent defense last season. Are from what I remember, I just wanted to confirm it before I said it, but I'm going to say it anyway. We had a pretty good run stopping defense, but our pass defense is what killed us and made us.
We had some of the top end like pressure rates, but like
Yes.
lowest sack rates. Like that was
Yeah,
like we
that I mean
couldn't finish it.
that's been an
We couldn't
issue
finish it.
forever.
Yeah, we
That's
just couldn't
been
finish it.
that's been the big issue besides defending the pass. Um so to me I think edge is going to be huge. How do we get pressure on the quarterback? I'm starting to hear rumblings that we're doing what we always do, where it's like, oh, we're gonna have all these exotic blitzes and stuff. And I cringe every time I hear that, because as great as that sounds, from for someone that doesn't know a ton about football, and you're like, yeah, pressure on the quarterback. That means that you're leaving someone open, like you're sacrificing one for the other. And that's been, I think, a big part of what's made our defense struggle, is that our back end is being exposed all the time, and getting these mismatches because we always have to bring pressure in a different way rather than just let guys on the edge do that. So I'm curious if our defense finally takes that next step this season, and that we don't have to always rely. I mean, I've no problem with bringing pressure, from the secondary or any other exotic blitz, as long as it's not always there. If you do it on a rare occasion, it's fantastic. It throws everyone off. It's unexpected. It works out more times than it doesn't. But if we're having to always do it, we're just setting our defense up for failure on the back end, I believe. And that's got to change. And with the secondary that we have right now, with the DBs that we have, I was mentioning this before the show. I think this is Texas's year to reclaim the DBU title. I believe that we have one of the strongest secondaries in college football. Granted, we have not shown that. I mean, we've shown it with talent. We've shown it with, some turnovers and stuff like that. But like I was saying, our defense has been, last season was very strong at, stopping the run, but stopping the pass. We're way back there. So if we can just put the two together and improve significantly on, pass breakup, pass defense, we can have a very good defense, I believe. I'm worried about edge. I'm not worried, but I'm most curious about edge rushing, because we all know that Baron Sorrell is good and has the ability to take that next step, hopefully, and become a name that people outside of our fan base know. Bama game will be huge for him, because I think he can really put his name out there as a guy. So he's someone to watch for sure. But outside of him, who else is rushing the edge? Is it, Justice Finkley? Is he going to have a big step? Anthony Hill, is he going to be our guy, to rush the edge? I don't know. And then, of course, pass defense, like I just said. Are we finally going to get to a point where we are defending the pass well enough? And again, we have the talent to do it. We do. Like, we have the most talent to do it. And a lot of, no offense to some of our, older guys, or guys that have since left the program that have started for a long time, but I don't know. With these new players and some of these up and coming guys, it's just, to me, that is one of the most interesting things about the team. Offense obviously gets all the headlines, but I think the defense is a missing component, and I really want to see how we do in those two areas in particular.
Just got to get home. We were getting pressure a lot last year, a lot of hurries, but just got to get home. And
Yeah.
I think it'll be good enough. I mean, honestly, as long as our offense gets a lot better, which it should.
Yeah. And again, we can live with it average to
Yeah.
slightly
Top
above average
top
at
30 defense,
yeah,
that's more than enough to win a Big 12 title if the offense is really good, which it
right.
should be.
We're shooting for the stars here though. So
Yeah. True. True. Natty.
right. I don't want us to, make a big bowl game or even the playoff only to get boat raced, like
Yeah.
even though that'd be great because that'd be a massive improvement. We'd be happy about it, but still, like,
Yeah.
we want to build on something here.
True, true, true.
Um, any other fall camp thoughts? Otherwise, we're gonna wrap this up with a little bit of quick recruiting talk.
Just pray that the injury bug doesn't come its way to Austin, Texas this fall. Last year we lost Nayor and Roshan and Angela like all on the same day. Luckily
Yeah, it
Roshan
was
came
awful.
back. But hopefully we avoid that, knock on wood. And hopefully these boys stay hydrated. It's hot outside.
Yeah, I think Sark learned his lesson. I mean, granted, it's not Tom Herman, but still, like, just there's no reason to like push your stars too hard. Like, I mean, kind of, but yeah, keep keep those special players in a safe place. Recruiting. Colin Simmons tonight. We were really disappointed that he tweeted. We were excited, but also disappointed that he didn't make his commitment tonight. But it sounds like he's hinting at committing tomorrow. Again, as of the recording of this video. So probably when this video comes out. He's been leaning Texas. I know that he had a great visit at LSU and he's kind of been flirting around a little bit with other programs, but everyone is kind of putting their crystal balls into Texas. 5-star player, like total program changer type talent, someone in state, someone that we desperately need on the defensive side of the ball. Another guy from, the Dallas pipeline. All those things are lining up, and someone that we definitely need. Thoughts on the prospect of getting this guy's commitment, coupled with other recruiting thoughts. There's been a lot of up and down, I feel like, with recruiting recently. Some wins, some losses, some yet to be told stories. So
Yeah. No, we need Colin Simmons like badly. Like most important player in the class by far. I think the tweet actually said, Trevor, that he's announcing his commitment date tomorrow. So it could be whenever. But we get some clarity.
I
I think we
misread it
should
then.
commit soon though. In Texas, I mean, I think Texas is still in a good spot, but LSU's there. LSU's always a threat. So but man, Texas needs to really I mean, you get Colin Simmons, then the floodgates open. You probably get Kobe Black, all these other blue chip dudes, Ryan Wingo, Brandon Baker. It's just kind of like a domino effect, kind of like how Arch was for us last year. We need that alpha dude, to lead start the dominoes. And I mean, I just like I just want to close my eyes and envision a defense with Colin Simmons on the edge and Anthony Hill on the other edge. Like, because in our first year in the SEC with Arch Manning at quarterback or Malik, that team's going to be a problem. So say a quick prayer. Maybe we'll get Colin Simmons down the line in burnt orange.
Yeah, I feel like so he just had a last unofficial LSU this past weekend, I think. I think it was this past weekend. So with the pending news of a commitment date, if it's like relatively soon, I feel pretty confident. Just that like that last LSU visit was like hey, I just want to check it out one more time, make sure making the right decision, because I think we're in the driver's seat as of now. But if it's like later on, if it's like, oh, I'm pushing this to signing day or whatever, or after the season, then we're in trouble. But the fact that he's announcing it soon means he's pretty much done visiting, and I like our chances. We just need him desperately to be like the cornerstone of the class.
Yeah, we've been kind of shoving LSU in the locker recently in recruiting, and Brian Kelly, obviously, he's not the greatest recruiter of all time, but I mean Wardell Mack from the boot as well, like 5-star DB. Looks like Texas might get him. He's the guy that LSU led for a while, and then you get Colin Simmons too, and that's originally Colin Simmons was all LSU, and then Texas fought back, and now Texas seems to be the team right now, at least as of now. But it can all change, of course. But yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed that it goes Texas's way.
Any other recruiting thoughts?
No, sir. I'm ready for some real football.
All right.
Tired of talking about hypotheticals, bro.
Okay. Well, any final thoughts in general?
Yeah, actually, I just want to share a piece of news today. Good old B Veggies over at Oklahoma Sooner said that Gavin Freeman has been the best receiver at practice by a long shot. By a long shot. So just take that for what that's worth.
I thought it'd be Brendan Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even the guy they took from us.
Oh my goodness. It might be worse this year. It might be worse than 49-0.
Look, man.
That'd be great.
I have
I
never
mean,
felt so confident against this team, bro. I'm sorry.
right.
Like,
It's alien territory. It's weird
It's
though, because
really-
so many other people are like, "Oh, watch out for Oklahoma." Like, what?
what? Are you
I don't
seeing
know.
what's going on over there?
Right. There's so many people that are so confident in this team, like that they're just gonna have this total rebound year. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I could see them improving, but like I don't know.
They're not a Goliath as of right now. I don't know. And if
They're
really,
average.
bro, there's one thing if you're saying Gavin Freeman has really stood out during
Right,
the
right,
hearing practice, but by a long shot,
right.
by a long shot.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
OU, the only thing they have going for them is they got a cakewalk of a schedule with 3 FCS teams and then
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
horrible, not FCS, but 3 really bad teams, and they don't play TCU. I know they have an easy schedule, so they might have like 8-9 wins, but we're still gonna beat them pretty good. I
Right.
think.
I was gonna say that'll make us look even better when we curb stomp them in October.
Yeah. It's not. Thank God Lincoln Riley left, man. Life is good.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Life is good. Any other final thoughts before we wrap this bad boy up, put a bow on it?
No, we're good. Thank y'all for watching.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Well, now that the season's approaching, we're gonna try doing videos more consistently. I know we always say that, but now that we have stuff to really talk about, I think
Life, baby.
right, life, games, all that good stuff. Hopefully there'll be some more videos on this channel, but we're busy boys, so cut us some slack. This is a fun hobby of ours that we love, but whenever we do get on, it's always a blast. So thank you guys for watching, and for those that stuck until the end, again, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. We do greatly appreciate it. So horns up. We'll catch you in the next one. Prayers that spring fall ball go well.